The modern-day crime drama was shaken up, and then some, by the arrival of the detective John Luther in 2010. The influence of Idris Elba's lone, complex crime buster remains strong 13 years later. I'm Stephen Archibald, and welcome to my movie podcast. Hello, welcome to the podcast They Came From Within, Cult Movie Reviews. The Dark Knight, Luther, 2010 to 2019. It was a stroke of genius for Luther's creator and writer, Neil Cross, to amalgamate the finer aspects of two of fiction's greatest crime solvers, Sherlock Holmes and Lieutenant Columbo. John Luther would combine the intellect and rigorous methodology of Sherlock Holmes and the dogged determination, wisdom and intuition of Columbo. And as with Peter Falk's much-loved 70s show, the Luther TV series would utilise the inverted detective story format, whereby the viewer already knows who the killer is and has to wait and see how the lead character solves the mystery. But unlike Holmes or Columbo, Luther's a detective who will constantly lock horns with authority, a man who will also struggle with his own dark, violent impulses as he attempts to solve shocking crimes. The delicious paradox being that it takes a man tormented by inner demons to effectively hunt down killers of a demonic nature, and Neil Cross has skillfully maintained this high-wire act over 20 episodes and one feature-length movie, and I suspect we haven't seen the last of his trailblazing policeman. Idris Elba first came to my attention as one of the lead characters in an excellent Channel 4 vampire series called Ultraviolet, which aired in 1998. He came to the world's attention through playing the drug dealer Stringer Bell in the acclaimed US crime series The Wire. Ironically, Idris had complained about the lack of roles for black actors in the UK before he landed the iconic role of Luther. Undoubtedly, diversity is better represented on British television these days, and shows like Luther certainly helped to pave the way. Idris summed it up neatly in that era in an interview he gave with Miranda Sawyer in The Observer, dated the 24th of January 2010, by saying, "Here, the Afro-Caribbean culture isn't as represented on screen, unless it's an Afro-Caribbean story, though it's getting better. And here I am, leading Luther. And I was one of many actors, white and black, who were in the running for it." Luther is such a groundbreaking, multi-award winning series, with a flawed but brilliant individual at the heart of it. No wonder both Elba and Cross cherished the character. Idris's achievements playing John Luther include a Golden Globe, an NAACP Image Award, and a Royal Television Society Award, whereas Neil Cross picked up a Mystery Writers of America Edgar Award for the pilot episode. Luther's a cool creation, but, as the saying goes, behind every great man, there's a great woman. And Ruth Wilson is simply mesmerising in the role of Alice Morgan. A research scientist with an IQ off the scales, Alice also happens to be a high-functioning psychopath. We first encounter her in the opening episode, in which she kills her parents and the family pet, and in such a manner that even Luther has a hard time proving her guilt. The two characters would go on to develop a truly fascinating relationship during the course of the 5 series. Series 4 is the only one in which Ruth Wilson doesn't appear at all. The year before appearing in Luther, Ruth was one of the stars of the underrated reboot of The Prisoner, starring alongside Jim Caviezel and Hayley Atwell, and she has gone on to star in such hits as The Affair and His Dark Materials, and can currently be seen in the BBC drama The Woman in the Wall. The only other fictional female killer who can match the impact of Ruth Wilson's Alice Morgan is Jodie Comer's Villanelle in Killing Eve. For a man who can create 3-dimensional serial killers, Neil Cross isn't necessarily interested in their backstory or what motivates them. In an interview he gave with Variety in January 2019, Neil explained what drives his dark tales. The characterisation of the bad guys comes second, and the genesis of the bad guys is located in my own anxiety. Before going on to add, I always write about what I am scared other people will do to me. A number of fine actors took up key roles in the series. The beautiful Indira Varma portrayed John's estranged wife, Zoe, a human rights lawyer who has a relationship with her colleague Mark North, who was played by Paul McGann, and the fine Stephen McIntosh appeared as DCI Ian Reid, Luther's close friend and colleague, who became so corrupted he murdered John's beloved Zoe, and thereby thrusting our hero further into existential despair. The lovely Sienna Guillory popped up as a potential love interest for Luther in Series 3, and Game of Thrones' Rose Leslie played the unfortunate Detective Sergeant Emma Lane in Series 4. The 4th series also featured the gorgeous Laura Haddock as the troubled Megan Cantor. Memorable among the villains, we have Patrick Malahide as the sinister George Cornelius, and Hermione Norris and Enzo Cilenti as the deadly couple Vivian and Jeremy Lake. Hermione had starred in the popular BBC series Spooks, while Neil Cross had been its lead writer, and Enzo Cilenti is married to Sienna Guillory. And on the side of the angels, I can refer to some of Luther's significant police allies. We have Warren Brown in the role of the sweet-natured Detective Sergeant Justin Ripley. Saskia Reeves portrayed Rose Teller, Luther's original boss at the Serious Crime Unit, and the marvellous Dermot Crowley played her replacement, Martin Schenk. It all got a bit metatextual near the start of episode 4 from series 5, when we see a bus advertising the movie Pacific Rim, which starred Idris Elba himself. In many of John Landis's movies, the expression "see you next Wednesday" is used. Cross did a similar thing in Luther. The first 3 series end with the exact same line of dialogue. Now what? Luther was filmed over various parts of London, As in all other departments, the direction was first rate. Jamie Payne directed Series 5 and the spin-off movie Luther, the Fallen Son. The first 4 series were directed by Brian Kirk, Sam Miller, Stefan Schwartz and Farron Blackburn. You can be sure our tarnished knight is out there somewhere. The world certainly needs him. My name's Stephen Archibald, and thank you for listening to my podcast, They Came From Within, Cult Movie Reviews. Stay safe out there, and goodbye for now.